Hi, this is Wayne Street of Messengers of the Cross, and welcome to Hope and Encouragement. Today we're in Daniel chapter 6, and our message is Conspiracy Against Daniel. In verses 1 to 3, we find King Darius set up 120 princes over the whole kingdom. Over these were 3 presidents, of whom Daniel was first. Daniel had an excellent spirit in him. He was preferred over all the others, so much that the king thought to set Daniel over the whole realm. In verses 4 and 5, we find that the presidents and princes sought to find occasion against Daniel. They could find no fault in Daniel. He was faithful. These men knew the only area they could trap Daniel was in his devotion to the God of heaven and the God of heaven's law. In verses 6 and 7, so now these 2 presidents and princes who are governors go to Darius the king to make a decree, to make a law, a loyalty test. For 1 month, nobody can pray to any god, only to Darius the king. Now, if they do, they shall be thrown into the den of lions. In verses 8 and 9, we find that these presidents and princes flattered King Darius with this nationwide law. King Darius signed it. In verse 10, we find that Daniel prays anyway. Here it is from the clear word. Daniel 6, verse 10. Daniel recognized the motive of these men. He had always prayed 3 times a day, and everyone knew it. When he heard that the document had been signed, he went home to his upstairs room, opened the windows facing Jerusalem, and as his custom was, knelt to pray and praise his God as he had always done. In verses 11 through 13, we find that Daniel's enemies were watching. They now go to the king to tattletale all about Daniel. They go to King Darius and say that Daniel had prayed to God, the King of Kings, and not you, O King Darius. In verse 14, when King Darius heard this, he was upset, for he knew it was all a setup to get rid of Daniel and thus eliminating him from being put in charge of the whole kingdom. In verse 15, the rest of the day, the king tried to find a way around the law that he had signed. You see, the Medes and Persians had a tradition. Once a law is established, it could not be revoked. It could not be reversed. It had to be carried out. In verse 16, reluctantly, the king has his guards arrest Daniel and bring him before him. The king says to Daniel, I have no choice but to have you put into the lion's den. I believe that the God whom you so faithfully serve will watch over you and keep you from harm. In verse 17, we find that Daniel is now put into the lion's den. A stone is set. And let's read that from the clear word. So at sunset, they lowered Daniel into the lion's den, rolled a stone over the mouth, and covered the edges with clay. The king pressed his seal into it, and his officials did likewise, so that no one would break the seal, either to rescue Daniel or to kill him by some other means. In verses 18 and 19, the king now goes to his palace and spent the night fasting and worrying about Daniel. At first dawn, the king rushes to the lion's den. He has to know if Daniel's God had been able to protect him. Let's read what happens. When he got there, he called out anxiously, Daniel, servant of the Most High God, was your God able to save you? From the den came Daniel's answer, Your Majesty, live forever. My God has sent his angel to shut the lions' mouths so that they have not hurt me. He knows that I am innocent and that I am also loyal to you. The king was overjoyed and ordered his guards to throw a rope to Daniel and pull him out. When Daniel came to the surface, they examined him and didn't find even a scratch on him because he had trusted his God. Verse 24, Darius then orders Daniel's enemies to be thrown into the lion's den, along with their wives and children. Before they touch the bottom of the lion's den, they are pounced on by the lions, and the lions crush their bones and obviously begin to eat them. Verse 25. Next, the king dictated the following announcement to all people in his kingdom. Peace to every one of you. I am making a decree that throughout my kingdom, men and women should show respect for the God of Daniel. His God is a living God and will be so forever. His kingdom will never be destroyed and his sovereignty will never end. He is able to save anyone he wants, and he does miraculous things in heaven and on earth. He shuts the mouths of hungry lions to save his servant Daniel. And finally, verse 28, then Daniel was restored to his position and served during the reigns of Darius the Mede and Cyrus the Persian. We have hope and encouragement over this. Number one, if oppressed because of adherence to God's word, remember that Daniel represents all such people. Number two, what was done to him will be done for all whom heaven favors today. And number three, though death claimed the body, the promise of God is a speedy resurrection. Death is just asleep. Remember what Jesus said about that in his gospel. And number four, whether in death, in prison, or the den of lions, Satan has no power over Jesus. So our take home is, true character is not shaped from without and put on. It radiates from within. Jesus works from the inside out. A consistent life, holy conversation, unswerving integrity, active, kind, and positive, reflecting Jesus. I pray that you will choose Jesus and follow him and fully surrender to him. And I pray that this gave you hope and encouragement when it comes to events where people of the world are trying to change how you worship God. I pray that you will look to Jesus and choose him, invite him into your heart, and start studying him from the Gospels. You can also read about him in a book my wonderful wife wrote, Jesus Says It Is Finished. You can find it at jesussaysItisfinished.com or go to Barnes & Noble and order it. Jesus Says It Is Finished by Shirley Jean Street. And until next time we meet again, keep praising Jesus.